their iniquity. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham. Will I remember, and I will remember their land.
You know, because the Lord promised the land of Canaan to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and to their seed after them who are the Israelites. But then the Lord said that if Israel mess up, he was going to kick them out of the land. However, that was not to last forever, because the time would come when he would bring them back. He said, so now if they're uncircumcised, be humble, then I'm going to remember that covenant that I made with Abraham and with Isaac and with Jacob, and I'm going to remember the land. Go ahead and read on.
The land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbath, while she lieth desolate without them.
Go ahead.
And they shall accept of the punishment of their iniquity, because they despise my judgments, and because their soul abhorred my statutes.
Go ahead.
And yet for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God.
Now he said, see what the Lord said. Now when I kick them out of the land, I will not destroy them utterly. I'm not going to completely destroy them, because the Lord got to keep that covenant that he made with Abraham and with Isaac and with Jacob. So Israel got to wind up back in that land at some point. However, the Lord said, I'm going to punish them for a time. Now, let's go to 1 Kings chapter 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 1 Kings 9, and we'll begin reading at verse 1. I'm going to show you Lord meant exactly what he said. 1 Kings 9, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. What we're going to do, first of all, we're going to look back in the past. Then we're going to even bring the thing down to this very day. Because, you know, you're looking back at things that happened back in the past, and you're thinking, well, what does that have to do with us today? It has everything to do with us today, because first of all, I'm going to show you how the Lord did exactly what he said he was going to do in the past, and how he's still doing that very thing to this very day. Let's start reading at 1 Kings chapter 9, and begin reading at verse 1. 1 Kings 9, and we'll pick it up at verse 1. Now, this is when King Solomon, Israel's second king, I should say Israel's third king, that ruled over the entire nation of Israel. This is after he had built that temple that David wanted to build, but the Lord said, David, you can't build it. I'm going to let your son build it. Now, Solomon had finished that temple. He had dedicated that temple, and we're going to pick it up after the dedication, when the Lord appeared unto Solomon. Start reading at 1 Kings 9 and 1. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass, when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord, and the king's house,
go ahead,
and all the Solomon's desire which he had pleased to do, that the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built, to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually.
Go ahead and read.
And if thou wilt walk before me, as David thy father walked, in the integrity of the heart, and in uprightness, and to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments.
Now he's telling Solomon, he said, now if you walk before me as your father David did, and you keep my statutes and my judgments, then this is what I'll do. Go ahead and read on.
Then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel.
Go ahead and read.
But if ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes, which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them.
Now he says it's going to come to pass. However, if you don't obey these commandments, you know, as David your father did, and he said it shall come to pass, this is what I will do. Go ahead and read on.
Then I will cut off Israel out of the land.
Now he said, I'm going to cut off Israel out of the land. He said, if you don't walk in my commandments, I'm going to cut Israel off out of the land. This is what else I'll do. Go ahead and read on.
Which I have given them.
Go ahead.
And this house, which I have hallowed for my name, will I cast out of my sight.
Now in this house that I hallowed for my name, I'm going to cast it out of my sight. You know, the Lord said in Leviticus, didn't it? He said, I'm going to destroy your cities, and I'm going to destroy your sanctuaries as well. Didn't he say that? Now he said, now if it shall come to pass, if you don't obey these commandments, then I'm going to destroy this house that was hallowed for my name. This is what else I'll do. Go ahead and read on.
And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people.
Now he said, I'm going to cast Israel out of my sight, and they will be a proverb and will be a byword among all people. You know what a byword means? That is an object of ridicule. In other words, somebody going to always have something bad to say about you, Israel. Go ahead and read on.
And at this house, which is high, every one that passeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss, and they shall say, why have the Lord done thus unto this land, and to this house?
Go ahead, read.
And they shall answer, because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other gods, and have worshipped them, and served them. Therefore have the Lord brought upon them all this evil.
Now let's go over to the 11th chapter, and we'll begin reading at verse 6. So Israel turned away, and God kept his word. Let's start reading at verse 6. 1 Kings chapter 11, and began at verse 6. Go ahead and read.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord.
See what Solomon did? He did evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the Lord told him what he going to do if they did evil in his sight and didn't obey his commandment. So now what did Solomon do? He did evil in the sight of the Lord. Go ahead and read on.
And went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father.
Go ahead.
Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab,
Go ahead.
in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
Go ahead, read.
And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burned incense and sacrifice unto their gods.
Go ahead.
And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice,
Go ahead.
and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded.
Go ahead.
Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant.
Now he said, Solomon, because you did not obey what I am going to do, I'm going to take the kingdom out of your hand, and I'm going to give it unto your servant. Go ahead and read on.
Notwithstanding in thy days, I will not do it for David thy father's sake.
Go ahead.
But I will rend it out of the hand of thy son.
Go ahead.
Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen.
Now he said, I'm not going to take the entire kingdom out of your hand, but he said, but I am going to take one tribe for my servant David's sake. Go ahead and read. Now, skip down to verse 26. Go ahead and read.
And Jeroboam, the son of Nabat, the Ephratite, and he said of Zeradah, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zuriah, a widow woman. Even he lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Milo and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him rule over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they too were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him, and rent it in 12 pieces.
Now these 12 pieces, it represented the 12 tribes of Israel. So now what he did was he caught the new garment that the man had on, and he rent it into 12 pieces. Go ahead and read.
And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee.
Now he said, I'm going to get, this is the nation of Israel, the entire nation, made up of 12 tribes. Now you understand what I'm saying? So now he said, I'm going to give 10 tribes unto you. So you had the 10 tribes, and that was, he said, I will give them unto you, and they kept the name Israel. Go ahead and read on.
But he shall leave one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel.
So then that left 2 tribes, right? And them 2 tribes became known as Judah. That is how you come up with Judah and Israel. Because now what has happened is that we have now, this is all these Israelites. You understand what I'm telling you? But 10 tribes, they kept the name Israel, and 2 tribes, they took the name of Judah. But this is all the same people. But this is when the separation, because, as you read through the Bible, you will find out it talks about Judah and it talks about Israel. But you are talking about the same people. Let's read a little bit more. What verse are we?
To verse 33.
Now, that is good. We'll go to 2 Kings chapter 17. We're going to pick it up at verse 7. 2 Kings chapter 17, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7. Now, these 2, they became nations. and they even fought against each other, and they all had their own kings and all of that stuff. Now,